Welcome back, folks, to another podcast with your host, Miriam Khan at Raise Your Vibes. Thank you very much for tuning in. Today's podcast is about how sometimes we push away the very people in our lives that are there to love us and support us, especially when we're going through very, very tough times. So let's look at why we might do that. Let's look at predicaments where we are unfortunately in very, very tough, dire, sometimes very, very dire situations where we are so desperate for support and help that we do the exact opposite. Instead of accepting that help and accepting that support that's given to us, we sometimes push it away and we reject it. So let's look at why some individuals may do that. Okay, so over the last several months, in fact, the last couple of years, but more so in the last couple of months, I've been dealing with quite a lot of people that have been struggling with various aspects of trauma, various aspects of abuse, or various aspects of difficult situations or milestones in their lives. You know, understandably, I've gone through my own. If you've been tuning in, dealing with a very difficult divorce and coming out of a very abusive partnership and relationship and coming out the other side, you know, and working on myself and working on helping myself to overcome some of those difficulties that you don't always see when you're in that particular reality that was your life, that was your whole existence and coexistence. When we're in predicaments like that, you know, it can be very, very difficult to lean on people, you know. Sometimes it takes a lot for us to just reach out to someone to help us and to have support and to have help and to have guidance. And that person becomes like a bit of a crutch to us, you know. If we're very fortunate, if we're lucky, we can lean on our parents if they're around, you know. Sometimes our parents don't necessarily understand our predicaments though. And then we have situations where we sometimes might just rely upon a close friend, and that close friend hopefully understands, relates to us, tries to help us through our difficult storm, difficult time in our life. And our difficult chapter, because remember, this is just one chapter in our whole volume of our life, of our book, you know, so to speak. But there are times also when, you know, certain close friends or certain friends that blossom into something else, we allow them to get close to us to a certain degree, but then we get to this situation where, as much as we need that love and we need that support, we often, you know, push it away. And I don't mean like push it away as in we just in an angry state and we say, sorry, I don't need your support, I don't need your help. It's not that type of sort of pushing away. I mean, you know, we feel like this complete love and this complete compassion, and we feel this complete respect for this other individual that's pouring love into us that we can't give ourselves, you know. And often that's a very, very difficult one to sort of focus on and to embrace, because that person has been this complete pedestal to us, you know. We've put them on this such a high bracket because we know that without their love and without their support and without their guidance, we wouldn't have got to the places we have done, you know. We wouldn't have survived, whether that's physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. We would not have survived some of the obstacles and the difficulties that we've had put in front of us because of the situations that have occurred, you know. None of us are naive. There are some relationships where you are literally walking away with your life, you know. None of us are naive. Some of us do know there are some individuals out there that have very, very difficult scenarios, you know, and they are extremely traumatized and they are walking around looking to be alive. But what matters is our own way of dealing with those scenarios, you know. And often when we're this trauma victim, with this abuse victim, or just being extremely hurt, it can vary from one person to another. We will often push away the very, very people that are in our lives that are there as a pillar of support, as a pillar of community, as a pillar of trust. You know, this person can be your soulmate, they can be your best friend, they can be, you know, like I said, a relative. But why do we push them away? You know, what is it about that? Sometimes we go into this whole sort of state of emotional trauma where we're just so beside ourselves, so low in our self-esteem, in our, personalities, in our lives, we feel like we're a burden as well. We feel very much like, my personal issues are too much. They're too much. It shows that you care as well. It shows you've got this compassionate side, that you're actually thinking about the other individual. You're not being selfish, you're not leading with the ego. But what we do is we feel that we're not worthy of that person's compassion. We're not worthy of that person's love. And we're not worthy of that person's heart that starts to love us and starts to care about us. They see aspects of us that we don't necessarily see in ourselves when we're in that state of mind. There's this subconscious part of us too. There's a subconscious part of us that also pushes that person away, because there's a part of us that wants to test, do they love us? Do they really love us? Do they really love us as unconditionally as they state they are? We know the answer. In all honesty, we really do know the answer. But subconsciously, we can't help pushing that individual away, and we can't help pushing them away. It's almost like this subconscious test of, are they going to come back to us? Sometimes we do it because we have to go on that journey of when we're in such a low vibration, such a low place, such this like epitome of self-loathing and self-hating, and also you're in pain. You don't want people around you, but at the same time you're looking for this sort of like light out of the tunnel, and that individual definitely is it. But they are also, when you push people away, you're also learning to let go, and that also is quite hard too, because when you're in this sort of emotional vulnerable state, there is definitely the dynamics change of codependency. Your dependent, independent mind, soul. You could be a very strong individual. You could be someone that has needed support and has needed, that sort of like crutch, I guess, when you're going through very difficult times. But it's hard to have that crutch constantly, So sometimes you're also learning to let go. You're pushing away because you also have to understand that lesson of letting go and how important that lesson of letting go is. Because if that person, there's a famous quote, isn't there? If that person comes back to you and they return back to you and, they are unconditionally out there to support you and reassure you that, look, no matter what you're going through, no matter what you've said, no matter how much you've tried to push me away, I still love you and I still care about you, and I'm here to support you through whatever it is you're going through. They may not, necessarily use those words or phrases. They may just be there. That's love in itself. If they're replying on a text message, if they're picking up the phone, it doesn't matter which country they're in, but they're there as a point of support. It doesn't matter how much time has lapsed in your absence, in the fact that you've pushed them away. The fact is they are there. But sometimes we are so upset when we're in this sort of vulnerable state and we're in this emotional void, that we don't see what we're doing. We really don't. We don't see the methodology. We just act on impulse. We act on what's happening around us. We act on our emotions and our feelings and our vulnerable state. We don't always see with a clear mind and a clear thought process. We just react, and that's also because we're not coping. We're not coping what's in front of us. We're not coping what's happening around us. We just react, So it also signifies to us that there are things going on that perhaps we don't necessarily understand and we're not in control of. And it can be scary. It can be very scary when you're in that vulnerable mode and you have a vulnerable mind, and you need also some control. So again, you push people away because of those particular boundaries as well. You might be doing it because, like I said, if you're codependent, you're maybe taking the reins back of your emotions, of your feelings, and you're doing it because you're trying hardest to be back in control by yourself. So you're not codependent on that person, you're becoming more independent. Sometimes when we give away our secrets and our deep hidden things, whether that's with a counsellor, a friend, a close loved one, like I said, that person knows things about you that other people don't. It makes you vulnerable. It makes you very vulnerable, and it makes you very raw. And that can also bring about anxiety. That can also bring about doubt in our head and in our mind and in our heart of, have we done the right thing by letting this person be our crutch? You know, surely I should push them away because they don't deserve this, you know. But what we forget, what's really important, and we forget it, is we're not in control of that person's mind. We're not in control of that person's emotions. You know, they are their own unique person. They are their own individual. They have their own free will, which is something really crucial, really important for us to think about. Because without that free will and without that free thought and mind, you know, they are not under our control. They can come and go as they wish. They can leave when they wish. They can decide to put that effort into us should they wish to do so. They may not. You know, we have situations, we know situations where people really do give up. You know, scenarios could be like people that are, you know, going through rehabilitation with drugs, for example, and various other scenarios. These are not easy predicaments to come back from. They're not. You know, when you've got serious big addictions like that, it's not easy to move forward, and it's not easy to put those scenarios behind you. It's very easy to relapse. And whether that's, you know, a physical dependency on that particular aspect, or drugs in that respect, or alcohol, or other substances, it's still an addiction. You know, all of us will have different predicaments, different scenarios where we're in very, very, very vulnerable states of mind and codependency. What we have to remember is how beautiful it is to have people around us that do stay and do support us. And sometimes, you know, we take that for granted too. The fact that we push people away, part of it, yes, we can see that, you know, this person really does care about me. They care about me, they want me to do well. We don't, get me wrong, we know it's emotionally exhausting. We don't want to be a strain on that individual. We don't want to take up that person's time. There's the part of us that's needy and emotional and needs that sort of like childlike, inner child wound, I guess, reassurance that they're not going to leave us. So sometimes we also leave them before they can leave us, you know. Like I said to you, it's on this subconscious level that we do that. But the main important thing is looking at our decisions and looking at our reactions and taking steps back and reflecting. Reflecting is one of those things that definitely we need to do more of as human beings, because sometimes we don't. Sometimes we react. Sometimes we make those decisions. We go at it 10,000 steps ahead. We don't look at the decisions. We don't look at it analytically. We don't look at it from all angles. We have one point of view. And that's because sometimes our thoughts and our feelings and our emotions and the situation we're in takes hold of us. You know, it doesn't allow us to take that step back. It doesn't allow us to think freely. It doesn't allow us to be thinking of us in a clear state of mind. To the people that support us, you know, they are very, very loving, kind, nurturing people. Obviously, they see something in us. They've seen something prior to the incident where you're needing this support and you're needing this help and encouragement. And they're there, obviously, on this journey because they know you are worthy of that love. You are worthy of coming out from that dark tunnel into the light. And sometimes, yes, we need that crutch. We need that support. We need that love. We need that almost like a cheerleading squad, you know, that you're going to get through this. Okay? And they don't understand, people around us may not necessarily understand the journey we've been on because they've not been there. Okay? Sometimes there's this judgmentality around us. So it makes it hard to trust, you know? But the people that have got us, people that support us, people that love us unconditionally, they have been through thick and thin with us, you know? And we know that we have their support. It's unconditional. And yes, there are going to be times where some relationships where we've leaned on that person, there's a strain. And we know that because, you know, each individual has their own thing going on. They have their own commitments, they have their own lives, they have their own families, they have their own responsibilities. And taking that time out for us to support us in our very, very difficult scenarios also takes, you know, and requires dedication. Okay? And they have to be committed. It's a commitment that they've made with us through our journey. They're there to see us on the other side. We don't know what's going to be there. We don't know the outcome with the predicaments and the situations I've given. We really don't. We just know that we have to walk through this path and come out the other side, hopefully in one piece, hopefully not wounded, hopefully fully healed, fully repaired, fully, engaged with life once again. And some of us won't. Some of us will need constant care. Some of us will need constant reassurance. All of us will be different types of personalities and different types of wounds that we have, depending on our trauma. But what gets us through it is that love, and it is that compassion, and is that support from the people around us. And if you're somebody that's been doing that for others, pat on the back, because it's not an easy job. It's not an easy job to support someone through difficult times, but it shows a lot about you. It shows a lot about your compassion and your love and your personality, that you're willing to support this person come through the other side, and you're willing to be with them no matter what. And it shows a lot about the friendship network, around you. When we take a step back and we sort of reflect and we look at that in that respect, we realize, wow, I'm very fortunate to have this team or this army of people that love me and support me and care for me. But like I said to you, sometimes it's not always easy to do that. There are people that will go out their way to do the complete opposite. And it's just having your, eyes wide open and your hearts wide open to see and to respect and to understand the people that do genuinely love us for us. And if you are someone that's out there going through those particular times, be blessed. Be blessed. Be appreciative, which I'm sure we are, before you make decisions of pushing someone away. Or if you have pushed someone away, maybe this particular podcast makes you reflect, makes you look at things in a different viewpoint, because I'm sure there's things you can relate to. Yeah? Wherever you are on your particular journey of healing and, rejection or pushing someone away that genuinely does care about you, take a step back, look back at it, reflect, focus on it from a different angle. Sometimes that really does help. Step into another person's shoes, and try and see things from their point of view. Sometimes it's a bit hard when emotionally there's a lot going on in our own lives. But if that person comes back and, there's no sort of like guilt trip being focused on us, they're just there genuinely because they love you and they care for you and they want the best for you, that person is worth millions, and they're worth having in your life for a long, long, long time. And, we can never show enough gratitude, to be honest, apart from saying thank you and, keeping them in our blessings, in our prayers, or whatever your spiritual faith is. It's not about showing them presents or things like that. It's about giving them the support back and the time back that they've invested in you, and vice versa. So wherever you are in your particular journey of healing, I wish you the very best. I wish you the very best. And I hope that, we look back and we reflect and we recognize the people around us that were with us, especially through our dark storms, and especially how they helped us come out and see the rainbows instead. Take care. God bless. Thanks for tuning in, and all the best in your healing journeys. Bye for now.